Hello and welcome to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com.
Precision Hydration offer electrolyte drinks in different strengths to match how you sweat. Personalise your hydration strategy today at precisionhydration.com and get a free box or tube of pH worth up to $9.99 using the code Oxygenaddict.
We're also brought to you by foodsell.co.uk.
The next generation of top tube nutritional carriers for your bike, designed to allow endurance triathletes and cyclists to carry enough food and gels while allowing easy access. Use the code FREEPOST for free delivery worldwide. Check it out at foodsell.co.uk.
I'm also brought to you by teamoxygenaddict.com triathlon coaching.
Helping hundreds of age group triathletes see huge improvements in their 70.3 and Ironman performances. The time training system makes sure that you get the important training done each week in a way that complements the rest of your life.
All right, everyone, welcome to the show. This week we've got loads of results from the different races that have been going on. We've got a couple of weeks to catch up on, haven't we, Hells?
Yes. We did a pre-recorded show last week, didn't we?
That's right. I was away in Legoland, and there's been some big names racing while I was riding the roller coasters. We've got an interview today with half Outlaw winner Will Clarke after his second place Ironman Brazil. So that's coming up later on. Quality interview, Hells. Will's a lovely chap. Really enjoy talking to him.
I always like listening to him.
He's a good guy. And we've also got Coach's Couch talking about listening to your body. We've got some news. That's not such great news, is it? But we'll get to that later on. So yeah, loads of fun stuff on the show. Have you been? Have you had a nice week?
I've had a great week, Rob. It has involved a fair few trips, a fair few seeing friends. So I was preparing, when we last spoke, I was preparing for a trail marathon.
Yeah, how did it go?
I loved it. It was ace. So it was women only. And some people would probably think, what a load of rubbish, can't have a women only event. It was amazing. It was so special. It felt really uplifting. And yeah, loved it. So about 300 people across a 10K, a half and a full. And the last 3 miles of the full, Rob, were along the coastal path near Sidmouth. So down nice. In Devon, and you were kind of coming in from the west, so west to east along that coastal path, and you could see Sidmouth, and you're like, oh my God, it's literally there, but there's this sodding big cliff in the way. I know that there's not a path that goes through the middle of this, so, oh no, I'm going to have to get up that.
And it finished up the cliff, did it?
Well, it finished down the other side of the cliff, but you could just see it, and you're like, oh, yeah. Sugar, there's a massive basically it was Everest to get back to Sidmouth at that point.
And also it looks like miles, doesn't it? 3 miles as you're running looks like a long
horrendous.
Way.
Yeah, honestly, very, very, on any profile, it's just like this up and back down. So I won a plant.
Very good.
For being the fastest vet 35. So I like to say the fastest young old bird.
Very good. Congratulations. Yeah. That's good.
Nice little plant. And then, so that took me 4.5 hours just to put things into perspective.
Solid day out on the trail.
The winning person did 3 hours 40.
Crikey.
She was literally flying. She finished half an hour ahead of everyone else.
Wow, that's some good running there, isn't it?
Yeah, really good running. And then this weekend, Rob, I wasn't sure quite how the legs would be. Wouldn't usually do this, but we'll come on to the listening to your body, but actually it did feel okay. And I did the trout run, my favourite run.
Oh, very nice. Up and down around Winkle and a free fish at the finish line.
Brilliant. Nailed it. Great.
Sounds awesome.
There you go. So yeah, that's my latest sort of week. It's so good to be back running though, Rob. It's so good.
Good on you. I'm stoked for you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come on to my lack of 70.3 racing later on when we talk about listening to your body and Coach's Couch. We'll excuse me.
There we go. That is listening to the body.
There we go. Listening to the body.
That is why.
Health and fitness here at the Oxygenaddict Podcast. Gotta love it. All right, listen, let's jump in and do some results because we've had loads of races going and we're a couple of weeks behind. So first up, shout out to sponsors Precision Hydration. Get yourself online, take their online sweat test, see if it says you are a particularly salty or heavy sweater. the summer is surely hell's almost officially here, and the hot days are just around the corner. So we need to be taking care of electrolytes. Regardless whether it's hot or not, you need to be taking care of your electrolytes when you're racing to make sure you don't struggle with any kind of cramps or worse. So get over to precisionhydration.com. If you've never tried their stuff before, you can get a free box or tube worth up to $9.99 using the code Oxygenaddict at precisionhydration.com. Right, so a few things that have gone on over the past couple of weeks. First up, Ironman Lanzarote. Some great news for... She's got a particular special place in our heart, hasn't she, Nikki Bartlett? What a fantastic win for her to get her first pro Ironman win.
Yeah, her first victory across 70.3 or Ironman, and that's, 4 years on from turning pro. And she was, we've said many times, she was our first ever guest, just as she had finished kind of in the age group ranks and just before she was turning pro. And we've spoken to her loads on the show because we've sort of followed her development, really, followed her progress. She's had some really crap times with injury, and she's had other times where she's been oh so close. So to actually put it all together was just so chuffed for her, and we're going to hear all about it over the next week or two.
Yeah, a couple of weeks' time we'll have a proper interview with her. She smashed the bike leg as well. I think she was 15 minutes clear of the next closest lady, and she was the only lady significantly under 6 hours. So she did a brilliant bike leg, and then a really solid marathon to close it back. And also a win for Freddie Van Leerd, which is good. Good to see him in winning form again, former Kona champion, and I think he won either 3 or 4 Ironman Frances in a row as well. So... yes, the Freddie Van Leerd campervan was on the road again. Good to see him do that.
Fantastic.
Good old Foggy took out the men's age group win. And he apparently had a puncture as well, 10 minutes.
Really?
10 minutes standing at the roadside waiting for help.
Didn't that happen to Kat Morrison a few years ago?
That's right, yeah. So
And
I believe someone helped him out with a wheel or a tyre, and he got back on the road, and he still won the overall age group race. So superb performance from him. Great to see him. There were loads of his guys racing at Epic Man this weekend up in the Lake District wearing his kits. So it was great to see good success for him. And also, Corinne Clarke was the fastest female age grouper. I was chatting with Susie Richards the other day, and she was raving about Corinne and saying, what a talent she is. So top stuff from those guys.
Yeah, and she won last year, the one in the Lake District that you did.
Oh, did she? Triathlon X?
Yes, I'm sure. I
cool.
think. Yeah.
Good. Oh, well, that's nothing to her then, is it? Ironman Lanzarote would be like a warm-up for her. Down Ironman Brazil, we had wins for Andy Potts and Sarah Piampiano. I don't know if you saw the results of the run here. Sarah Piampiano's run was faster than Andy Potts' marathon. Yeah, that's good. I like that. There were a couple of guys further down the ranks who ran a few minutes faster than her, but not by much. And she was only a handful of seconds slower than Will Clarke, finishing in second as well. So that was an absolutely scorching marathon.
And I'm sure that was her first sub-3 marathon.
She's really made the leap, hasn't she, there?
But exactly, like proper going for it. And she was particularly delighted because I think she's closer to 40 than she is 30, let's put it that way.
She's a legend. I'm going to drop her email see if we can get her on for an interview again, because last one was really good with her. So that's covered Lanza and Brazil. We've got an interview with Will Clarke coming up where he talks about detail about Brazil a little bit later on. So news from this just past weekend. First up, we had the championship from Challenge, didn't we? The half distance race over in Samarin. It's pretty good, I thought. Did you watch any of the coverage?
I must admit, Rob, no, because I was too busy eating trout.
Nice.
No, I was, it was just a crazy weekend. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch any of it. However, I have sort of read up about it afterwards, and it just sounds like, Lucy Charles Barkley won there for the third time.
She was amazing.
Well, she's like literally, like she's just miles ahead. I mean,
head and shoulders doesn't begin to describe it. And do you know what? The coverage was really good as well. It was one of those really well put together. They had Laura Siddle and John Levinson doing the commentary, who did a great job, I thought. and the footage was really good all the way through. It wasn't just like your one camera stuck on the lead person the whole way. They actually looked like they had people in charge of it who understood that people were trying to watch the racing as it was going on.
Yeah.
So, Lucy stormed it, didn't she?
Yeah, and the bit that really is just, I'm like, wow, a 1:19 run.
Exactly, yeah. She was, I think, a handful of seconds outside
Radka Karlefeld.
like the magic 1:18:40 represents 6-minute miling at a half marathon, doesn't it? So to get right down close to that is a massive step forward in her running and really impressive.
Yeah. So I'm just very, very excited to watch her for the rest of this year. So she got her third win there, new course record, didn't she? 4 hours and 25 seconds. That is just smokingly fast. Radka Karlefeld was second, in 4:05, and then Daniela Blamel, former Daniela Samlet, was third in 4:07. And she had a very nice bike there of 2:07. The men's race, Rob.
Yeah, Sebi Kienle, it was interesting actually watching it. He had a very controlled bike leg, and then I think he took the lead with 2K to go.
Yeah, he caught up with Peter Hemmerich, didn't he, of Belgium?
Peter Hemmerich just... it's hard to describe how fast he came by Kienle on the bike. I was like, it's one of those like, there is a new Uber biker in town. He came past and he had his super aero tuck on. Then obviously you're passing someone who there has got a pretty decent aero position already. And he came by turning this massive gear. And I was thinking, I'm not sure whether he's going to pay for that on the run later on. But he just looked so in control. And the motorbike kind of sat in front of him and to the side and showed all the athletes behind him kind of dropping away in the distance. And you were like, wow, how fast is this kid riding? Did he ride 1:54? Do I remember from memory?
Don't know.
Some ridiculously fast. It's just mind-blowing. When you think 2:15 represents 40k an hour, it's like 20 minutes faster than riding 40k an hour for 56 miles. Yeah, it must be, I don't know, it must be 43, 44k an hour. It's staggeringly quick.
That's going. Yeah. And like conditions were a little bit trickier this year, weren't they, out there?
Yeah.
Like they nearly had to cut the swim, and like it was really windy and stuff like that. So Kienle was particularly happy with his run, I think. Yeah,
I think he said in his post-race report, didn't he, that for like the middle third of the race, he'd basically given up on the thoughts of the win. He had a bit of a dark spell and then came round and thought, no, come on, I'll give it another push, and managed to run him down with 2k to go. So there was only a couple of 100 yards in it at the finish line, I think. So gotta hand it to Peter. He hung tough.
So Kienle with the win in 3:38 ahead of Peter Hemmerich of Belgium, and then Rudy von Berg was third in 3:39. The men, it was so tight at the top. It was such a stacked field because David McNamee finished in 9th, Adam Bowden 10th, and then Joe Skipper was 16th.
Yeah. Good stuff there. All right then, so jumping forward then, the European Championships.
Yeah, so Ali Brownlee won his first European title, I think, since 2014, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
That was in Holland, and a fantastic result as well for Beth Potter, one of my favourite interviewees.
You loved talking to her, didn't you?
Yeah, I really did.
Yeah.
I think just because her story was so amazing and just so gutsy to go from teaching, secure job, teaching, bloody good runner, running, qualifying at the Olympics, running in Rio in the 10,000 meters, and then going, I want to give triathlon a go.
That's
giving up teaching, moving to Leeds. I just think really awesome story. So to see that, all her hard work paying off by becoming European champion will give her a massive, massive confidence boost.
And it'll also it'll put a front of centre of mind of, there's obviously a big pack of British girls vying for selection for the Olympics for Tokyo. That's going to be a massive confidence boost for her going forward, isn't it? And having shown that she can get herself into the place now to use that run that she's got. Imagine getting off the bike with her.
It would be like getting off the bike with Alex Yee, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Talk about being out psyched before you get going.
I know. Rob, very brief mention for Marinda Carfrey and Sam Long, who won 70.3 Victoria at the weekend. And then also in action this weekend, Jan Frodeno, oh my God, smoking, and Daniela Ryf as well. So Frodeno was taking part in 70.3 Kraichgau, which sounds like a very tough hilly course. It's like called the Land of 1,000 Hills, apparently. But he still managed to do a 1:12 run to take the win. So comfortable. 3:53 he won that in. And Hella Fredriksson won the women's race. And then at 70.3 Rapperswil Jona in Switzerland, Daniela Ryf had, again, a really comfortable win there in 4:08. What was she, like 7 minutes clear of the field? So yeah, cracking stuff from her. And Andy Butcher won the men's race in 3:48.
She did a staggeringly fast bike split again.
I know, 2:15.
On that course as well. There's a picture of her climbing an Alp, basically, with a disc wheel on. And you just think... Yeah.
That's that on that course. That is the sort of, there is one major hill, which is called the Beast. Yeah. I remember someone having to get off their bike and push. No, not me, by the way. I nearly did, but no, I was like, no, I'm not getting off my bike.
I'm not pushing.
No.
Good for you.
Yeah, gonna get up this bloody hill.
All right, so Coach's Couch this week. First up, we've got a bit of an offer for you guys. If anyone's interested in coaching and wants a bit of help preparing for the race, or you've got a later season race, we decided we had a really good success with our 5 slots we had last month, Hells, where we said, if you join now and take an annual membership out, we'll extend the membership all the way to the end of September 2020. So we thought we'll give that a go again this month. We've got 5 more slots, one of which is already gone. So we've got 4 of those left to go. If you get an annual membership, we'll extend it to September 2020. So you essentially get 2 race seasons worth of coaching with us for the price of 1 annual membership. So yeah, you can check that out over on teamoxygenaddict.com. I thought we'd talk this week, Hells, about listening to your body, because I had to make a very difficult decision on Saturday of this week, because I was really excited to race. I'd been badgered into it by my mates to come and do it, and I'd entered on the Wednesday of the week, and then on Thursday night I had, you know, when you have an uncharacteristically bad night's sleep, and you wake up and you feel as though you've been punched in the face and your eyes are all puffy. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine. And then Friday night, I went to bed just exhausted, fell asleep on the sofa in front of the TV at 9 o'clock, went to bed at 9:30 and didn't wake up till 8 the next day.
Oh my God, yeah, that's like alarm bells ringing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really was one of those. And in the night, I'd like sweated through the duvet and I was super hot like a radiator. And I was thinking, no, you'll be fine. Come on, don't be soft. Have a coffee. And I went out for a 30-minute jog. And I ended with my hands on my knees in the middle of some field somewhere thinking, oh, I just feel terrible. But still came home and started prepping the bike to go to the race. I was in that mindset of, don't be soft, you'll be fine. And it suddenly occurred to me, like, don't be so stupid. Like, what advice would you give to one of your own athletes if they told you that they'd had these symptoms for the last 3 days? You feel exhausted, you're sleeping 4 hours a night more than usual. Listen to your body, kind of thing. So, and do you know what? I still feel soft now. This is the thing. And I thought, this is why we need to talk about it on the show. I still feel like I took the soft, easy option by not racing, and I should have gone and done it. And yet I'm coughing my lungs up and feel worse today probably than I did yesterday, arguably.
What is it with our minds?
I know.
Seriously, it's ridiculous. They are stupid.
Well, part of it,
literally,
I think,
we are dumb people sometimes.
Part of it, I think, is it's going to be so much fun to go and race, because if you race when you're healthy and fit, racing is so much fun that you know you're going to get this opportunity. And the flip side of it is being ill or sick or under the weather is so little fun that you think, maybe I can have some fun and find some fun by going to race. And I know, like, in my conscious adult mind, I know that if I'd gone to race, I'd have ended up, you know, pulling over after one lap and riding back feeling miserable and probably been really sick this week. But I still feel like it was the soft thing to do, because I'm not like in bed with a temperature. I don't have the flu, but I definitely know something's not right with my body. So,
It's like you said though, you know, when sometimes you just need to say to someone else, "Oh, this is what I'm thinking of doing," and they'll literally tell you, they're like, "Don't be so stupid."
yes.
Because we're not very good at, you know, we're great at giving out advice, but absolutely rubbish at listening to it.
I think that listening to advice, even from another person, is actually a really underrated skill. That when someone else says to you, like one of your club mates says, "I think you're being a bit daft doing that." And maybe even sometimes we're afraid to give that advice to other people and say, "Actually, I don't think you should do that." For that very reason, nobody wants to be the killjoy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you know what? I went up to the race anyway. I'd got in my camper van on Sunday morning and drove up and gave people a cheer on. And I'm so glad that I did, because it was so nice to be there and be clapping at people. And it really reinforced to me, like, you wouldn't be having any fun if you were trying to do a half Ironman feeling like you do right now. Go and get another coffee and stand under the umbrella and clap people. But it looked like a great event, though. The epic events, I think it's called Epic Man, and the run was sort of 4 laps around an outdoor centre on these really beautiful paths that were, you know, like tree roots and rocks, a bit like the Slate Man kind of path, you know, up and down and around and in and out, and there were 3 or 4 different loops within each loop where the athletes passed each other in and out. So it was really super interesting, and I'm not sure many of the athletes would agree with me at this point. With other legs are not quite as sore, but it did look a great, interesting, beautiful, naturey type event to go and do if people are looking for one for next year.
That sounds very good. That sounds nice.
All good. So if you're feeling a little bit under the weather, guys, maybe you need to have a serious check-in with yourself about whether you go and race or whether you go and train, because sometimes I think taking a couple of days off early helps you avoid having to take a big chunk of time off later on.
I always say about the bigger picture and consistency as well.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes all you can do is heal, isn't it? That's the only thing you can do to get fitter, is not make things worse in the long run for yourself.
Exactly. Just a quick one, Rob. Someone in our club is currently on crutches, and but she's, you know, doing everything that they can to sort of rehab. So only doing swimming, which is fine. It's not, that's, you know, kind of what the doctor's ordered. But you were just saying there about going to cheer people on, like they were saying just how much joy they had got from seeing some of their family and some of their really, really good friends performing amazingly well and being able to actually cheer them on. Because usually they'd be racing too.
Yeah.
But the fact that actually they could go and watch was a totally different perspective, and they could really see the positive sides. And I think sometimes that is, you've got to find the little positives.
Yeah. And you know what? I definitely can tell people for 100% fact, it's much more fun going and cheering people on than you think it's going to be, because you think, oh, I'm going to really feel like I want to race. Actually, it's much more fun being there and clapping people than it is sitting and moping around at home. And so many people said, oh, thank you so much for clapping and cheering us, because you can imagine in a hammering down rain in the Lake District, there's not that many supporters out there clapping people on. So it does make a bit of a difference to people as well. Maybe we should all do a bit more supporting. And
I love supporting.
Yeah, a little bit of extra. Give a bit back. That's the way. All right then, so before we jump into our interview of the week, we are going to have a shout out to our sponsors, Foodcell. Foodcell, as we said at the top of the show, are the next generation of top tube nutritional carriers. They make a super duper plastic aerodynamic top tube carrier that you can get 4 of those big fat gels in, or 2 chunks of flapjack, or even a whole spares kit. It attaches and disattaches to your bike really easily, so you can wash it out. It's waterproof. It's got a slidey top that, you know, you can slide it back, get your stuff out, put the wrapper back in, and slide it shut with one finger, which I never realized was important until I was trying to do it with my original one and couldn't get things in or out through the kind of the 2 flaps.
The Velcro would just my Velcro thing would just always flap around and do my head in.
You got flappy Velcro, no good.
Yep.
You got one like mine that had a beak on it like a hungry bird that would flap and nip at your fingers, which isn't what you want either when you're trying to fish something out at 40 kilometers an hour. or you've got one of those ones that's got a zip on, and we know what's happening. The zip's going to trap on one of the gel things, and you're not going to get anything out of it. So you don't want that. You want a food cell. Go and get yourself one of those and actually get the nutrition from your carrier into your tummy. There you go. It worked for Mark from Food Cell. Mark, the founder of Food Cell, raced at Samarin this weekend, and he steamed the bike course there. I think I saw he did a 2:14. So he wasn't that far behind Lucy Charles, bless him. I think he planned to stop on the run because he's still rehabbing from a run injury, but he had a scorching swim and bike. So good work to him. I saw a picture of him on Facebook with his very natty get your flow on tri-suit on. So give him a shout if you see him at the races, and get yourself a Food Cell because they're blooming brilliant. All right. Oh, I got all excited there, Hels, for a minute. Right.
You're allowed to.
Over to our interview of the week. Will Clarke, winner of the Outlaw Half, and second place at Ironman Brazil, securing his Kona slot. Here we go. All right. Well, it's great to have Will Clarke back on the show. Will, congratulations, my man, on it's like a double great result, really. We had the win at the Outlaw Half, and then followed, was it 5 days or 6 days later, by second at Ironman Brazil. It's a pretty tight turnaround there.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Rob. Yeah, it was good. I mean, it seemed like a bit of a mad thing to do, really. It's probably not the best prep for an Ironman on a different continent by racing the Outlaw Half and then jumping on the flight the next day from Gatwick. But it's it worked out reasonably well. Worked out how I'd hoped. Yeah. I kind of feel like I know the body pretty well and what's possible and what's not possible by now. So I'm glad it paid off, and pleased I did it in the end. But I really enjoyed racing the Outlaw Half. Actually, it's just 30 minutes from my house, and it's a race that all of my friends are doing, and it's nice to kind of go and do a more low key race and catch up with some people and have a good kind of low pressure hit out and try and make some money as well, I guess.
Yeah, it was a nice little bonus for breaking the course record. It has to be said. Well, listen, let's kick off by talking about the Outlaw Half a little bit, really, because first up, it was a storming performance. That was a legit course record that you broke, and I know your coach and Uber TT legend, or your bike coach and Uber TT legend, Mike Botterill, he was out there on race day in a relay team, and I was out on the course supporting, so you came zooming by, and then Matt came zooming by, probably, I don't know, 5 minutes behind you or something like that. But your bike time was like just a minute slower than his, and he was drilling at full gas in a relay team. So, I mean, that's the first thing. Your TTing has really come on, hasn't it, over the last couple of years?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I mean, it's ever since I went to the wind tunnel in when was it? In December or January, something like that. I got invited in there by a contact of mine called Jamie Kringle, who's a good sports physiologist friend and now works kind of pretty much full time there. So he kind of wanted something for himself. He wanted some yaw angles testing, and I wanted some, and he also wanted to help me out with my position as well. So we went in there. I've actually got the record for most amount of time spent in there in one session.
Is that right? How long were you in there for?
I was in there for about 5 hours in the end.
Wow.
They have a lot of the watt bike guys go in there, and it turns out that I was in there the longest. I mean, I was doing stuff for him as well with the yaw angles, and that took some time. But yeah, you just never know. You just never know how fast you can be till you try different things. And I just, we actually found it's been a constant frustration with the time trialing because I just wasn't really getting the speed from my power that I was putting down. And it was a similar sort of story in there as well. We found 4, 5, 6 watts, and it was all very frustrating. And then I just kind of thought, wait a minute, look, what if I just slam my ass right back on the saddle, flatten out my back, and just see what happens? And we did that. It was obvious straight away from the metrics on the floor in front of you that really worked. And all of a sudden my drag just went like that, and I just all of a sudden found about 15 watts in one run. So that combined with a few other things, basically I left that day, probably 5, 6, 7 minutes faster over the Outlaw course in one session. So just kind of finally found my way with the time trialing. I mean, the training's always there, and I've always put in the work on the bike, but only just this year we're starting to get the benefits really. That plus I've got some really, I'm lucky to be running some really good equipment with the BMC bike and Victoria Course of Speed tyres and DT Swiss wheels and all of the best bits of kit. So it's really I definitely found my way now, and the confidence has just gone with that as well.
Yeah.
So racing the Outlaw, it was just a case of I swam pretty average. I just followed in the end. On the bike, I just went straight away from the gun, and it was good average speed the whole way. Felt really, really strong and powerful. And then of course I'm actually pushing less watts than ever as well because I'm riding faster. So I got off and ran pretty fast as well until I shot it down in the last 10k. But yeah, that was a really good day out. I was really happy with that.
So many people commented on. I mean, I know we'd had a little chat before the race, and you said, well, look, the plan is to go hard on the swim, go hard on the bike, and then just kind of shut it down on the run and see where you are in terms of like breaking the course record. And I know you had a kind of time in mind, but it looked like the run pace came really easy to you that day as well. You were really bouncing along happily, and everyone who was spectating was saying, it just looks so easy. He looks like he's jogging. And I was going, he's not jogging.
Yeah. No, it was easy. Yeah, I mean, I was in good run shape as well. It's I ran I think I ran 3:28 pace for the first 11k, and then I shut it down. And then of course you're kind of in the rhythm, and you've been turning your legs over for at that pace for 40 minutes already. So when I shut it down, the pace didn't really come down that much either. So in the end, when you're training for an Ironman race, the 70.3 speed suffers, believe it or not, because it's still a long way than 7.3. But I don't normally run that well in a 7.3 if I'm using it as a prep race for an Ironman. So in the end, a great day, and confidence through the roof a bit for Brazil. Just had to get there in one piece was the only concern, because it's a hard day at the Outlaw, even if you did shut it down in the last 10k.
Yeah.
So that just kind of went home, vitamin C, Vic's first defense up the nose, which is a great thing to take on the airplane with you for anyone who's listening. It's an amazing thing to have in your rucksack.
I've not heard of that before. Tell us a little bit about that then. What's the deal with that then?
Yeah, it's just something that I've picked up over the years. My team doctors are always talking about it. It's a little so Vic's is the brand, and it's a little it's a nasal spray. Just kind of any sign of any sickness or illness, and also as a precaution. Say your son comes home sneezing, it's just like, right, I'm going straight upstairs to get my Vic's first defense to kind of load up on that. And just kind of, I don't know, maybe cuts out 50 or 60% of any illnesses that are flying around. And to be honest, getting on a flight the morning after racing the Outlaw, you're really pushing it with the whole sickness thing. So
yeah.
So it's not a bad thing to do, really.
So you literally went through the finish line, picked up your enormous check, which we've just seen sitting in the background in your living room there, which is also pretty cool. And then straight down in the car next morning and jumped on a flight at Gatwick to head over to Brazil, and pretty much did your recovery on the plane on the way over there, hey? Yeah, exactly. I mean, the nice thing about racing back to back is you don't have to do much in between. You're kind of a bit on fire. The only thing you can do is recover and then tick over and then go again. So my father joined me as well. We just took the 3-hour drive down to Gatwick. We were on a flight by midday with Norwegian Air. I bid £200 for an upgrade and got that. So it was an easier flight than I expected even. And then we flew into Rio actually and did 2 days in Rio just to kind of relax and break up the journey, because Florianopolis is an extra 1.5-hour flight from Rio. So we went there and relaxed. I spent some time on Copacabana and in Penina, and my father went off and did some, got himself in trouble in the favelas and stuff. But yeah, it was. Yes, I mean that's obviously pretty awesome. But I did kind of think this is a bit unprofessional, really. I should have just gone straight to race. But
actually it was really good to go there and kind of unwind and freshen up and be fairly limited as to the training you can do. So I did what did I do? Monday I did a 30-minute jog along the coast, 40-minute jog along the coast, and I swam in the sea for 2K, which I was also a bit nervous about because there was I wasn't sure how polluted it would be, and sure enough I stopped halfway through the swim to adjust my goggles and have a little rest interval, and this poo floated past me.
No, really?
Oh man! So I went back in and smashed some Coca-Cola to kind of try and sort the stomach out in case I did pick up anything in there. Yeah, the next day gym bike and jumped on a flight to Florianopolis, and then I could do a bit more while I was there. It's a bit more relaxed. But
so was it a bit of a? Do you feel like it was a bit of a gamble then? Obviously, I don't know whether you have raced a 70.3 a weekend before an Ironman before, but you said at the start, it was a bit of a jump into the unknown. Was it a case of, do you think you race better when you have the confidence of having gone really well just recently? Do you think that kind of outweighed any of the potential sort of fatigue that you might have felt?
Yeah, 100%. So confidence was obviously through the roof. I got to enjoy the week rather than kind of cramming in any last minute sessions. Massive workout in the legs. Actually, it is definitely, there's no getting away from it. It's definitely a gamble, and it's definitely kind of a dodgy one. But yeah, I think it was all right, and I just kind of felt it was the right thing to do. I pulled out of Texas Ironman a month earlier, and I just said, look, I'm just gonna. The main problem is going to be the head. It's not going to be the body. I'm really fit. I just did a block of altitude at Boulder. Spent a lot of money while I was there. Taking my family and so on. I just need to kind of keep motivated and keep race sharp. And if you enter a bunch of races, then that's going to be taken care of for you. So I actually did. As soon as I landed back from Texas, I went to a team training camp in Mallorca, and I did an Olympic distance race there, which felt pretty much like crap, but it was a good workout. And then 2 weeks later the Outlaw, and then off to Brazil. So just kind of all that racing kept me sharp and gave me some real good race fitness. And so long as you're ticking over, it takes a surprisingly long amount of time to lose your shape.
Yeah. So let's go and talk a little bit about Brazil, the Ironman in Brazil then, because having pretty much ruined the dinner party that I was at following you on the tracker. And in the end, everyone I was sitting and eating with was asking how you were getting on because I kept checking the damn thing so often. I was going, "Oh, he's doing really, really well. He's out in the lead bunch of 3." And it looked like it was you, Andy Potts, and there was one other person you were riding with. Who was that? Remind me.
Yeah, he's called Igor Amarelli. He's
okay.
A local Brazilian hero.
Okay, so the 3 of you broke away on the bike, and it looks like you motored along with pretty much no one else around you for the whole of that bike leg until about 140k in that the fireworks started happening?
Yeah, so the swim was actually relatively easy for some reason, considering Andy Potts and Igor are very, very good swimmers. But they didn't want to do anything in the swim for whatever reason. So basically got on the bike and rode kind of as high as I could for the first kind of 20k really. And we ended up with a 1.5 minute lead on Potts, which you probably wouldn't know if you didn't, if you just looked at a tracker. But so he was, so me and Igor were 1.5 minutes ahead. Potsy was in this group behind, having a lazy start to his race. And then he just jumped over the next hour. He just jumped across to us.
Okay.
And in the process, he kind of messed up a lot of other people's races because they tried to go with him. And they blew themselves up, and soon, sure enough, pulled out.
Yeah.
Potsy did us a bit of a favour there, actually. But anyway, he called us by about 60k, and then we just kind of rode together until 140k, and then he came past, and he put in a massive surge, and I wasn't really able to match it. So I let him go and just kind of rode on my own for the last 40k, which I'm pretty used to be fair. And just kind of tried to keep aero, tried to limit my losses a bit. Igor went with him as well, but sure enough, as I rolled into T2, I assumed he had stayed with Potts the whole way, but I just rode up to him just as I got on the dismount line and passed him. So he kind of I think in the end we all rode really hard in that race. I think Igor blew himself up on the bike. Potsy and myself ran kind of uncharacteristically slow on the marathon, but because we had such a big lead on the guys behind, we could get away with it. So me and him ran around a 2:52, and it was all very hard work and quite pretty tough. But yeah, the gap stayed the same. So Potsy beat me by about 3 minutes, and then the guy behind me was about 4 or 5 minutes behind, running through from the pack behind.
Were you surprised at how much time Andy Potts managed to put into you over that last 40k?
Yeah, a little bit. He's a bit of a dark horse, to be honest. I was talking to Tim Don about him the other day. He said in Hawaii last year he was just they were all running together, and then in the last 50k he kind of did the same thing. He just sits and waits, and then in the last 50k he managed to put 3, 4, 5 minutes into Tim in that group as well. So I think he's obviously stronger on the bike than some people think. Stronger than I expected as well. But yeah, it was just too hard it was too hard at that time for me to roll with him. So had to let him go. So I'm still due to win an Ironman. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of podiums now, but I need to get a win at some point.
So onto the run, were you kind of thinking, right, I'm just gonna run my race and see what happens? And because I was kind of expecting either Andy Potts to blow up at the halfway point or for you to gradually run your way back to him. Was it just one of those days when you were both wrecked from the ride and it was just a case of doing what you can do?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we both biked, hence we didn't run that fast. But yeah, it was a bit of a struggle actually. I felt really good on the first kind of 10k. Felt really light on my feet, much like the Outlaw. And then just kind of started to run into various problems. Like my stomach was not feeling the best, so I had a few trips to the Portaloo, and just like some bad patches, and then come out of it, and then some good patches. So it's a really up and down run and a bit of a mental battle. But I noticed the guy behind me was I think about 26k. There was an out and back section. He had caught from 8 or 9 minutes down to about 4 minutes. So I put the boot in then to kind of try and secure my my second spot. And I put the boot in for one whole lap until I got back to that same point. And back then he was about, and at that point he was maybe 4.5, 5 minutes behind. So I managed to kind of, I think that was kind of the time where it was like you need to either pick it up now and guarantee a second, or you could be losing to this guy. So
yeah,
I was quite proud of that. To be honest, I've had in my career I've had about 5 or maybe 5, 6, 7 times where I've run 240s to 242s on the marathon, and they've always felt really good. I felt those are good days where I've had a good run, felt good, felt strong. And I've had a couple of days where I've had maybe 3 or 4 runs where I've kind of run around 3:15 to 3:30, and nothing in between. I'd never run a 250 or a 255 and that's kind of 250, 255 for me is kind of, it's not your best day. You're kind of suffering. I think it in the past it was kind of an unwillingness to suffer a little bit. Like if it's going well, then great, then you run fast. If you going badly, then you pack it in and you run a 3:15, 3:30, like I've been doing in Kona. So I was quite proud actually in that race to muscle through and make sure I got it all out and run my 252. It just kind of shows that it was a race for suffering and a race for grunting out rather than flying along feeling good, everything's going your way sort of thing.
It might be interesting as well now, having the confidence that's come with your improved aerodynamics and speed, and maybe a bit of reflection on this will see that if you can really grit your teeth and grunt one out when you are feeling good as well, who knows how fast you might be able to go on a marathon if you if you apply that mindset to really pushing yourself on a day when the body's in a fantastic place as well, that might be something quite special, mightn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's what you'd hope for. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing next, but I'm not sure I'm racing another Ironman until Kona now. We kind of I had plans originally to race an Ironman Switzerland, and I'll still kind of keep that intention, but I don't think it. I think I'm going to be racing 70.3s right the way through to Kona now. Had the discussion with my team manager and team director, and there's kind of two options. You can for once take the opportunity to go into Kona, with an easy path and having qualified relatively easily early in the year, so you're guaranteed that kind of freshness, or you can go and try and race again and potentially fight for the win, but probably also tie yourself out for Kona. So it's I'm not sure I'll get another chance to do a really fast Ironman this year, but apart from Kona, which is obviously it's a slower race, but hopefully going into that fresh, that'll be more than rewarding.
Yeah. So what are your hopes for Kona? Obviously, you've mentioned that Kona didn't go the way you hoped it would go last year, and you kind of shut it down on the run. If you had a really good day in Kona, what do you think you could do out there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had a pretty bad attitude with Kona ever since I raced it last year, because I had a bad race there when I first went there, very bad race. Last year, the second year, I broke my shoulder. I went to the race, but I didn't compete because I was really injured. Last year, I struggled big time as well. I rode better, but I ran crap. So I didn't think about it until after Brazil. Really, I just kind of thought, if I qualify, then I'll take my slot. But I kind of want to be really competitive before I think about going there again. But anyway, the awards came round and they offered the slot, and of course I took it. And ever since then, I've been getting my head back into it and focusing on doing my best possible job there. So it's I just got a few things to sort out. I'm meeting a sports nutritionist to talk about the nutrition that I need in hot races. I think I've got it kind of nailed in the more moderate climates, but in Kona, I think it's that much more important to kind of have your nutrition plan nailed with various sodium uptakes and etc. So need to kind of go and speak to him and kind of practice that, but also I need to kind of train somewhere hot, because I've been training in California the last years and it wasn't hot enough. So need to go somewhere like Texas, stay with my homestay guy, Raul, in the Woodlands, which is north of Houston, which is freaking hot. It's also where Patrick Lang has been training kind of the past kind of 3 years leading into Kona. So it's kind of a proven.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's been doing all right in Kona the last couple of years. So
he's done okay, hasn't he?
Yeah. So I've got somewhere to stay over there. It's a nice place it's a nice place to visit, although the train's a bit crap. But it'll be a fun trip, and I'm gonna. The only thing is keeping the family happy. Really, is my only concern, because it's a lot of time away from the family. So.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it was a really nice scene when you came down the finishing chute at the Outlaw Half with your son running next to you. How old is he now? Is he about 5?
Yeah, he's 5. Yeah, 5.5.
And then he was waiting for you at the end of the finishing chute, and bless him, you were running so well. You were obviously consciously trying to hold yourself back, and he was running as fast as his little legs would carry him to keep up next to you.
Yeah, his cadence was through the roof. Yeah, it's nice to do a race where they allow that, because in Ironman races they don't allow it. But it's something that I knew he'd enjoy. He loves that sort of stuff, and he also likes. It was nice to win in front of him as well, because I don't win that many races, because most of the races I'm doing are really big races. So the knock-on effect from that is you don't really win that often, and when you do win, he can't come down the finish chute with you. So it's a kind of nice thing to do, really, and something for him to remember. And he took my medal and trophy into school the next day for a show and tell thing at assembly, which is quite cool.
Nice. I suppose that must be a thing that's. I guess I don't really consider that when I think about you. Obviously, you're an Olympian. You go and race on the biggest stages, and if you look at your racing history, it's always been championship races, big races. There's never not that there ever is a cherry pick at an Ironman race, but you've always, I mean, you went, what did you go, 7:45 at Texas last year and finished third.
Yeah.
So even when you
Yeah.
do like a scorching fast, very close to the world record kind of time, it was still a third place. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's no question in my mind, I look at you and go, wow, it's Will Clarke. And certainly people I was talking to at the Outlaw, like, I can't believe Will Clarke's racing the Outlaw. But I guess I've never got to consider the idea that you get to like the very, very highest level of the sport, and you don't get to win very often. You just said you've never won an Ironman distance race.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're, like, obviously listening to your talk, you've got so much confidence from winning a race like the Outlaw? Would it be better for you, do you think, to do some smaller races more often and remember what it's like to be on the podium?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah. The thing is, as well, you get stuck in a rut with these podium finishes without winning it, and you kind of eventually start to question yourself. It's like, what, what is wrong with me? And kind of maybe a bit that affects your confidence as well.
Yeah.
Whereas I can rock up and I can try something new and I can just go for it. I mean, without saying too disrespectful, it's kind of unlikely on my day that anyone is gonna really trouble me there. So I can literally go on the bike and just go full gas straight away, see what happens, and kind of like test things out, really, see how I run off the back of that, see how smashing the first 20k affects the rest of the ride, and it does give you some restored confidence, because in other races I wouldn't necessarily do that. I'm not sure I would race Ironman Texas and just go all guns blazing and in the first 20k to try and drop Matt Hansen and Starkey and co. So you kind of you're a bit more submissive. It's like, oh, Starkey's going past me. I need to ride behind. I need to follow Starkey. Whereas in the Outlaw, I can just go, right. No, you're a good cyclist. You get on the bike and you go full gas straight away. See what happens. So yeah, it's good for restoring some confidence. And definitely. If you look at someone like Mo Farah, he's he's the best. He's one of the best in the world anyway. But he likes to race, the London Vitality 10k and little kind of, by his standards, little pissy races that he can knock out of the park any day of the week.
Yeah.
So he does it, and I've kind of always thought, that's kind of what I should be doing sometimes as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? You've clearly got the physiology for it. You've clearly, and it's something that's not just applies to you, I think, but you could probably pick 10 guys at Kona, maybe 15 guys at Kona, who've all got the physiology. If they get a bit of luck on the day, and they don't get bad luck on the day, most of the point, there's a whole group of you who are sort of arguably very similar physiologically wise.
Yeah.
What does it come down to? Is it a confidence thing? And so maybe going and doing these races and winning some, in inverted commas, smallest races, but just getting the habit of being way out in front and feeling comfortable there might be the thing that tips your confidence over to go and do that at Kona. Because someone's got to win, buddy.
Yeah. You're right, exactly. I mean, it's no doubt about it. Kona's a super hard race. It's really the only race of the year where everyone shows up, everyone's in great shape, and everyone's going for it like crazy. So it's definitely a confidence thing in that race. It's also just so hard to get Kona right. It's a very, very hot race. You need to time your form correctly. You need to get your nutrition right, and you need some luck on the day as well. And it's hard. Very tough race, but hopefully turn it around this year.
Well, let's go back just before we finish. Tell me a little bit about Texas, the race where you dropped out, because I think there's an interesting story lurking there in the fact that, having chatted with Matt Botterill a little bit, he sort of said, I don't think Will realizes quite how good he is and quite how fit he is.
Yeah.
So how did the race go at Texas then? You mentioned Starkey sort of came by on the bike, but you were in amazing bike form that day, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, just the same, really. I mean, I was training in Colorado before, so I had the altitude in the body. I came down 3 days before the race from altitude to. You're meant to leave it, 2 or 3 days to come down from altitude to race, or you meant to leave it, 10 plus days. So I kind of opted for the 2 or 3 day plan. So I felt really good. Everything had gone great. Really good winter training. I swam well, actually, for me. Just kind of in that front group, had a fast transition, got out on the bike. With my teammate Patrick Nielsen was about a minute and a half ahead, kind of all on his own. And then I was with Starkey, and the guys behind were really quite far behind, like Joe Skipper and some other big names in that race. So I was kind of I couldn't ride as Starkey. He's too quick. I mean, no one can really ride as Starkey. It's a kind of a bit of a suicide mission if you do. But yeah, I rode pretty well. But I was just on my own for the whole 180k. Like I didn't ride with anyone once. It was really, really mentally draining. And yeah, Michael Weiss, who's I'm not a big fan, but he kind of passed me in the last 10k of the bike, and we rode together. But apart from that, that was about it. And I got on the run, and it just wasn't coming easy to me, or anywhere near easy to me at all. I felt really kind of flat from kind of 3k to 12k, I think it was. Wasn't really coming out of the hole. I was still in 4th or 5th place, but I just couldn't imagine doing another 32k at that same intensity, or anywhere near that intensity. I could just see which way it was going. To be honest, it felt like a bit of a pussy move pulling out, and it sounds like a pussy move, and I'm aware of that. But I've done this before where it's not gone my way. I couldn't see it happening. I'm not completely dead yet, but I'm pretty much dead. And you know what? You messed it up. Just take it on the chin, get back on the flight, go home, and try again. So I just made the call. Look, you need to go and race in Brazil and try again.
Yeah.
And just kind of hope that I can't really say what went wrong in that race. The swim on the bike was really good. I was in good shape. Training was good. I felt good in the first few k of the run, but I just couldn't turn it around. I think it was probably a bit too hot for me there. It was around 30 degrees on race day, and I hadn't seen 30 degrees or anywhere close to that since Kona about 6 months prior. So I'd been training in Lanzarote in Spain, and it was 20, 21, 20, 22 degrees. But I think 30 degrees, after 6 hours racing, just kind of killed me, like straight away. Just couldn't handle it, and I think that's kind of one thing that triggered me into, if you're going to go and do Kona, you need to do some heat prep before, some serious heat prep, like not California where it's 24 degrees or anything like that. Go to somewhere where it's 35 degrees and you really suffer for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you can kind of land in Kona and go, yeah, this is fine now.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think there's anything wrong with pulling out there at all. It sounds to me like you made the smart move as a professional, because it paid off with a podium at Brazil, Kona qualifying slot at Brazil. And probably when you reflect back on it, you look at your bike ride and you swim from Texas and you go, I was all on my own for 180k and I drilled out an amazing performance on the bike. It really reinforces all that good stuff you did in the wind tunnel. Yeah. Maybe that confidence carries forward through the Outlaw and into the race in Brazil.
I had a few Twitter trolls to answer to, and I did feel a little bit like shit for a few days. But I kind of just know it's it wouldn't have done me any good, like getting around that race and finishing 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever it had been. It would have been a big sufferfest to finish that high up anyway. And I could just tell it wasn't my day. Like in Brazil, I didn't particularly run very fast. But the first 10, 20k, I felt good. Like not amazing, but I felt good. In Texas, after 2k, I felt crap, like straight away. I was struggling. Like normally I try and distract myself on the run. I kind of thank the volunteers at the aid stations or have a little joke with someone on the course or whatever. In Texas, there was no jokes. It was just, from the first K, it was serious. I couldn't interact with the crowd or the announcer or anything like that. It was just you're suffering already. And that's not, if you want to get a result as a pro, which is what I'm all about at the end of the day, then it's not worth it,
Yeah. Hey, well, listen, let's wrap this up with this thought. I was super impressed that you hung around at the Outlaw Half and you actually ran down the finishing chute with the last finisher on the day as well, which I know totally made her day. That was a really nice touch, man. And it brings it back around to that family idea of your son watching you race and sort of doing stuff for the crowd and the bigger community as well. Was that always your intention to go and do that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, it's important to kind of hang around the day. I mean, if the winner doesn't come to the podium presentation, then it looks crap, doesn't it? Really. But I mean, yeah. I mean, it was the announcer's idea. You know, Simon and I think maybe, but it was, yeah. Of course, like, you know, I love doing that sort of stuff, and you know, if I can you know, help the event and make the last finisher happy, and you know, kind of add to that kind of family feel of the event, then I'm happy to do it always. But yeah, it was nice to do it. Kind of gave me goosebumps, and it was enjoyable for me as well. So
yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to hearing all about the upcoming 70.3 victories on the run up to Kona.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm racing Staffs next weekend, believe it or not.
Are you really? Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep on this backing up of racing and see what happens.
Good stuff. Well, best of luck in Staffs then.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Rob.
Cheers, mate. Top stuff there from Will. And I tell you what, Hels, I'm going to go and be checking out his little top tip for the Vicks inhaler that he mentions to kind of keep the germies away, which he highly recommended there, despite not being sponsored by them. Sounds like a cool little product when you need to get on a flight 6 hours after finishing a half Ironman and fly to Brazil. Kept him healthy.
That and hand sanitizer.
Yeah, but you can't bother up your nose though, can you?
No, I wouldn't recommend that. Definitely would not recommend that. Rob, some news for you. Now, last week's interview, which was just, I think, pretty incredible, with John Kelly, who is the guy who was on last week, who is a super duper ultra runner, ridiculously talented athlete, and has finished, so has won, has completed the Barkley marathons. And he has finished he's Kona finisher. He raced as a pro just the one time, still went sub 9 hours with like a 1:17 swim. He is, in short, pretty epic. He was doing a challenge which he started last week, and he spoke about it at the beginning of the interview, which was called the Grand Rounds. And he was going to be doing the Paddy Buckley round in Wales, so 24 hours, then cycling up to the Lake District, doing the round there, then cycling up to Scotland and doing the round there. That was the intention. It was going to be around 100 hours of challenge. He didn't know if he could do it, but he was going to give it a crack. He didn't complete it. However, he has said, thank you for the Grand Round support. It's been incredible to see, from internet encouragement to people opening their homes to me. Unfortunately, for this time, I've had to call it at a fun run. Obviously, more details to come at some point, but for now, sleep and eat. So, Rob, he managed to do the Paddy Buckley in under 24 hours. He then got on his bike. That's the one in Wales,
isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one in Wales.
Okay.
Got on his bike. Yeah, made it to the Lake District in absolutely, seriously, really, really grim conditions in Wales. I don't think the bike was much better. But he did the bike, got to the Lake District. He still managed a sub 24 hour Bob Graham round.
Fair play.
In honestly, horrendous conditions. On social media, I think quite a lot of the ultra running community were out and supporting him and helping him, and people have taken videos, and I don't even know how they were still standing. I mean, I think the weather really...
The weather's such a big part of that, isn't it?
Had a lot to play. But I think he was also... It was the sort of lack of sleep as well, which he had spoken about. But yeah, just go back and listen to that interview. So unfortunately, this time he did not complete it. But I'm sure that is not the only time he'll give it a go.
It's pretty epic to get two of them done linked by road.
It's insane.
Linked by road bike. That's
I mean, the whole thing.
One of the most staggering endurance feats in itself. It's a shame there wasn't just the two of them, because even if it said he was trying to do that, I'd have gone, I don't know, you're biting off a big chunk there.
Yeah.
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 Epic. Yeah. Well, nice work, John, for even attempting it. That's put the idea out in someone else's head, and if you don't get to do it, somebody else will sometime, and it'll expand the consciousness of human endurance, won't it?
Yeah. I just don't. I think he would be the first person to complete it.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. Bit of good weather, John. Recover for a day or two.
Yeah.
Give it another crack. All right, then. And what's going on with Laura Siddle? What's happened to you?
Yeah. Well, she's put up that she's shoulder injury. She's in a sling.
So what's she done? Has she dislocated the shoulder? I had a look at the X-ray and I couldn't really work out what was going on, but
she had to have a little procedure done on it to try to fix it. Little plate. Dear. Not good, is it?
Did she crash?
Don't know.
She doesn't say. She's just...
Looks like a collarbone though, isn't it?
It does, yeah.
Clavicle.
Collarbone or shoulder or something. Oh, bless her. Yeah. I'll get well soon, Sid.
There we go. Yep. So yes, surgery went well, she says, and at the moment feeling far better, possibly still high on drugs.
Bless.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this show. Next week we're gonna have a Bike Fit and Aerodynamic Speed special with none other than British time trialling legend and somewhat of a triathlon legend as well, Matt Botterill, coach to Will Clarke. So he's going to talk a little bit about Will next week, but I've got a whole hours-long interview there of Matt talking you through exactly what you can do to make yourself faster for no extra training, and some stuff about training as well. But you'd be amazed the amount of stuff that Matt goes through that you can do that'll make you faster just by changing position, changing kit, and basically getting to pick his brains from all of the things he's learned over the years, because it is not all about fitness, that's for sure. So that's coming up as an hour-long special. It'll be a pre-recorded one, won't it, Hells, because you're away in your hollybobs.
Yay! I'm flying tomorrow. So
Enjoy.
Excited.
Have a great time.
Thanks. Yay!
All right.
Precision hydration's been packed, Rob.
It's in there. Is it ready for the heat of Sardinia?
Ready for the heat of Sardinia. Yep, it's going to get us through.
Love it.
Along with the pizza and gelato, clearly. But yeah, can't wait. I'm really, really excited. I'm so, just like itchy. Woo! Ready to go.
You have a great old time. And we shall catch up with you again in a couple of weeks' time. Matt Botterill special next week. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for listening. You've been listening to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. Our sponsors are precisionhydration.com. Use the code Oxygenaddict for £9.99 worth of product. Foodsell.co.uk. Use the code FREEPOST for free worldwide delivery. And teamoxygenaddict.com. Extend your annual membership to the end of September 2020. I'm Coach Rob Wilby.
I'm Helen Murray.
And you've been listening to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. Till next week, everyone, have a great, safe training and racing week. Enjoy the sun in Sardinia, Hells, and we shall speak to you all again soon. Cheers now.